Welcome to Breakfast Central on a Friday. Yay! TGIF. But I'm sad.
You are lying.
Oh, I'm sad. In the words of famous Benga Borowa, I mean, I wish we could do this show for like 7 days.
I don't wish, please. You guys stop lying.
I feel so sad.
No, that was before. Now we're winding down to the end of the year.
Honestly,
let's do our
job and go. We've gotten to the end of the year, and before we get into the rant, the proper introduction. If this is your first time joining us on Breakfast Central, I don't know where you've been, but we're glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Olive MOD, and you're welcome to the most incredible breakfast show in the world.
Yes.
That's right.
And I'm Benga Borowa. You're surrounded by 2 kings and 1 queen. That's what you call blackjack in poker.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're welcome. You know what that means. We're a winning team. We bring you everything you need, the vibes, you know, the intelligence, the looks. We're serving looks too, you know, as Gen Zs will say, we're serving everything. And of course, the insightful information and knowledge. I mean, you can't watch Breakfast Central without learning a thing or two every day. And that's one thing I pride this amazing team for. Welcome to the show.
You've spoken well, Benga, and I appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you,
I appreciate you, my sister, as well.
Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you for watching. My name is Joe Hansen. We're going to start off the show right away with our very first story.
Before you get into the first story, appreciating Benga, appreciating me, and appreciating our audience.
Yes.
I should have told the director, cue in appreciation.
Adupe.
But first of all, before we get into the story, please, can we rant a little again about the state of traffic in Lagos and how everybody go back to your country. Go back to
even
your
the coastal road. There's a 6-lane express road block is experiencing traffic because of indiscipline of Nigerians. There's a lane that says
I agree.
There's a lane that is for going, there's another lane for coming. But you see when you're moving towards the Lekki area, there's still traffic coming to VI on the same lane, and it applies to both lanes. So I don't understand. It's just madness.
Control spoil.
Benga just highlighted it's indiscipline. Yesterday I was stuck on the island for a long while, and guess what? It was just about each driver just waiting for the next person to just pass. Then it's your turn, you pass. But it wasn't like that. And my worry is there was a press conference or press release from Lagos State where they mentioned that they would deploy a lot of traffic
extra because of the volume
but I'm not seeing them in strategic locations.
Lagos State sometimes their press conference, their press statements just
man, goodness gracious.
Once the ink dries on the paper, that's it. They don't take action.
Is something else. So
around what time was this?
This was just around 3 o'clock.
What time do you experience your traffic?
Well, the truth is, I experienced traffic at every time. On our way to work this morning, there was already traffic.
From 12?
As early as 5, 6 a.m., there's already traffic. Well, maybe not as intense as later in the day, but you can see the roads are extraordinarily busy, busier than usual. On the way back, what would typically take me 40 minutes took me 2 hours. So it's just really
and the economic cost implications to it. Your time, the fuel you're burning, because you're spending extra money on fuel.
A lot of money on fuel, and just even the discomfort. And like I said, now it's a terrible time for your car to get bad. And I feel like this December has been about me and my car getting bad.
Olive, this is God telling you that it's time for that upgrade, and you can do it.
I do. I need fun.
You can do it. You can do it.
If you stop eating chin-chin, you can save some of that money and put it towards it.
Let's move to our conversation now, since Benga has decided to turn the show to Breakfast with 1,000 Laughs. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tugar met with Burkina Faso's Foreign Minister in Ouagadougou yesterday to address the detention of a Nigerian aircraft. The aircraft was held after Burkina Faso authorities had said that, they violated airspace regulations, a move that had sparked diplomatic tensions between the two nations. During the meeting, both sides discussed ways to resolve the issue and restore the normal aviation operations. And of course, there were pictures from the meeting, the QR code embedded in documents presented by Burkina Faso, which many interpreted as signaling the release of the aircraft. Now, the discussions are seen as a pivotal step in easing bilateral tensions and ensuring that international aviation protocols are respected. Let's take a look at this video and we'll come back to share our thoughts.
First of all, I'm leading a delegation sent here by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Tout d'abord, je conduis une délégation envoyée par le président Bola Ahmed Tinubu, président de la République fédérale du Nigeria, afin de livrer un message au président Ibrahim Traoré. Un message de fraternité, un message de solidarité d'un pays africain à un autre. Nous avons discuté de plusieurs sujets en lien avec la sécurité de notre région, en l'occurrence la lutte contre le terrorisme, sur la manière dont nous...
Delegation Yusuf Togar has met with Burkina Faso.
That's their own station. That's
that's their friend.
Burkina Faso National TV.
Yeah.
And it's good that we took it from that angle as well, because, sorry to butt in Olive, there were rumors that they had already released them from last week. And then mistakenly or coincidentally, one of the dailies had taken that same rumor that they had been released up until we saw this. And this is also a clarification that they weren't. It had to take the Minister of Foreign Affairs to get there in a meeting they had. I mean, there are pictures. I don't know if we have those pictures. Those pictures are everywhere. The pictures where they met, they sat down, had conversations, and so on and so forth.
I mean, just to mention again, for those who are not aware of the full story, in case, you know, they were on their way to Portugal when they said that they had to take an emergency landing due to technical issues. And then they landed in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso classified this unauthorized landing as an unfriendly act because they did not give Nigeria the permission to land within their airspace. They call for all countries to respect neighboring countries' airspaces. And of course, mainly because Burkina Faso is no longer a part of the ECOWAS. Burkina Faso is now a member of the Sahel states. And because the AES now runs a military government, they do not subscribe to our democratic rule. I wouldn't call that a rule, but yes, our democratic government, since they're now in the military rule. So, of course, the response...
And they're highly suspicious
of every action.
Yeah,
it feels like, are you coming to monitor us? Are you coming to flex muscles? Especially because Nigeria had sent forces to Niger, the Republic of Benin, when Benin had their coup. Now, you can see the tweet by Honorable Yusuf Togar. He says, Nigeria continues to prioritize dialogue and regional cohesion in its engagement across West Africa. I led a high-level Nigerian delegation to Burkina Faso on behalf of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to convey his message of solidarity to President Ibrahim Traoré and engage on shared regional priorities. The visit allowed us to review pathways for strengthening Nigeria-Burkina Faso relations and advancing regional integration. Through sustained dialogue, we also resolved the matter concerning Nigerian Air Force pilots and crew, reaffirming the effectiveness of diplomacy in addressing sensitive issues. It feels like this tweet reflects that the initial priority was to solidify Nigeria-Burkina Faso relations.
Yes. I mean,
and then at the end, you now say the visit allowed us
the release
to secure the release.
Airmen. Yes. So it's killing two birds with one stone.
Right.
And it's good. I mean, you can make all the noise you can, and this could have gone south if it were some other country. So I must commend the federal government for applying wisdom and using diplomatic channels to find a solution to this impasse between the Burkinabe government and the Nigerian government with regards to the C-130 grounded in Bobo Dioulasso. Information reaching us now is that the Air Force men are on their way to the mission in Portugal. So at the end of the day,
which they were initially on their way to,
yes, which
when they had emergency landing.
I mean, lessons have been learned. There are certain protocols. You respect people's airspace, and everybody lives happily ever after. No shot was fired, and they were even able to discuss more issues with regards to bilateral relations between Burkina Faso and Nigeria. And I listened to an interview of Ambassador Yusuf Tuga a few weeks ago, and he said, look, Burkina Faso is not an enemy, Niger is not an enemy, we still interact on diplomatic level. We might have our differences, but we need to work together towards dealing with the problems of terrorism in the Sahel region, which also affects Nigeria. So, good one there from my side.
Anyway, let's see what Nigerians are saying about this, and let's see if they have any, if they have a different thought concerning the situation that did take place in Burkina Faso.
I'm sure they will. Trust
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there will be.
Nothing is ever black or white.
Unlike what Michael Jackson sang, black or white.
Mega Mixer says, foreign policy success is measured by the stability of regional norms and institutions. By treating the release of NAF crew members as a diplomatic breakthrough, the government inadvertently admits that basic military and diplomatic protocols between Nigeria and Burkina Faso have eroded.
So, Mr. Mega Mixer, how would you rather have it?
Okay, we'll come back to him. Salih Ubelo says, while high-level delegations and dialogues showcase diplomacy, one wonders why resolving sensitive issues abroad is sometimes swifter than addressing systemic inefficiencies within our own institution at home. That's a good one. This is
food for thought in case you haven't had breakfast.
You know, you wonder what's really going on with certain things, especially when it's back home. Nigerians have complained about the fact that you have insecurity that's bedeviling the country, the nation, especially in the Middle Belt, the North, and now it's spreading all across the Southwest and so on. And then there has been no action, especially to quell. But then again, when it comes to the diplomatic process or ensuring that things are done from the ECOWAS point of view, Nigerians are saying, see how swift it was to get into Benin Republic.
Maybe it's you have to give kudos to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Minister. They are very proactive and they understand their game. If every other institution and minister apply the same
so like which of the ministries are you talking about?
I'm not calling names, but they know themselves.
You have to call names,
to their work and their duties and responsibilities. Maybe Nigerians will be saying.
I mean, the Minister of
like that. A Mega Mixer. I don't know what Mega Mixer wants. So, are we fighting war? Are we comparing? My muzzle is bigger than your muzzle. The airmen are on their mission to Portugal. Everybody was smiling. The crisis has been resolved. So, what is we yielded to Burkina Faso? Mr. Mega Mixer. Go to
look at me. You can talk to
Mr. Mega Mixer. Go to where they are selling bangers, December period. Knock out, then throw it from where you are to Burkina Faso. Maybe that will make you happy. It will do pow pow. Because I don't understand my brother and my sister.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's move away from that story. Good news and kudos to the federal government. It's good to take swift action, and it's also good to know that all the false stories that was in circulation have actually been put to rest. Eventually, we now know that they have been officially released, and that's exactly what we've gotten. But let's move on to another one. This story is what we call a Friday story. Now, in a move that has caught many by surprise, the Ghana Police Service has warned that denying sexual intimacy in marriage could lead to prison sentence. Binga, open your ears.
I'm not from Ghana.
Of up to 2 years. Authorities say the law is designed to protect marital rights and ensure the welfare of spouses, emphasizing that sexual denial within marriage is now treated as a serious offense. The announcement has already sparked debate in social and traditional media, with many weighing in on the tricky balance between personal freedom, marital obligations, and legal enforcement. Couples are being urged to resolve disputes amicably, but this directive clearly signals that the authorities are taking marital rights very, very seriously. And this is what is happening in Ghana. But guess what? Nigerians are calling for it to come to Nigeria, especially in the comment section.
Let's take a listen to the Ghanaian police authorities. Because a lot of people will still be doubting that, no, this news can't be true.
Well, I don't know if we have the video, but let's see if we have the video.
I don't know that I'm not sure that we have the video.
But if we don't have the video,
but just to explain, right?
We do have some information.
What has happened is that there's a senior police officer in Ghana, Assistant Commissioner of Police Dennis Fiapui. He told the Ghana News Agency that deliberately withholding sexual intimacy from his spouse in a way that causes emotional distress can be treated as emotional abuse under Ghana's Domestic Violence Act 2007, Act 732. If such emotional abuse is proven in court, the law allows for penalties of up to 2 years imprisonment upon conviction. So I think what they're driving at is, first of all, this is not a new law. This reminds me of what happened in Delta State, you know, when they all of a sudden brought up an existing law and decided to explain an existing law that policed how women dressed. But bringing it back here, this law has always been in existence, but they've never really paid as much attention. And now the police is highlighting that. And what they're trying to point at is not necessarily about the sexual intimacy, but that whatever action you do that causes your partner emotional distress, you can go to jail for it. The Domestic Violence Act covers it. There's economic abuse, namely the deprivation or threatened deprivation of economic or financial resources, which a person is entitled to by law, the disposition or threatened disposition of movable or immovable property in which another person has a material interest. Then there's the emotional, verbal, or psychological abuse, namely any conduct that makes another person feel constantly unhappy, miserable, humiliated, ridiculed, afraid, jittery, or depressed, or to feel inadequate or worthless. So the question now is, how do we decide what actions, you know, and if this action is strong enough to constitute, and the fact that Benga might think it's not much of a big deal now, but to Joe it is an incredibly big deal. The courts will decide. So I don't think that this is new, and even in Nigeria, I think we have similar laws. It's just that not every state has domesticated the Violence Against Persons Act.
The penalty is counterproductive, because if you lock up a spouse,
won't the person feel depressed?
Exactly. For 2 years, you are depriving unless you allow conjugal visits in Ghanaian
So it's not just so the thing is things like a partner constantly. I'm thinking of
the headline says intimacy. That's what we're
No, but intimacy is not just about it. But let's bring it back to intimacy. Here in Ghana, they're looking at the fact that if you deprive your partner constantly, because, I mean, you married folks can testify to the fact that in some marriages, there's some people that are living as partners, they're just cohabiting. There's no form of intimacy. And that can work, and that's okay if both partners are on the same page. However, if one partner is not on the same page, then it becomes a problem according to this law. Because if one other partner says, no, you can't deprive me, this is why I'm married, you should be able to give me such rights, you can then take them to court and they would have to face the law. However, you then go to global crimes, and you know, in keeping up with modern best practices, you will see that in the West, those things are an issue, and sexual intimacy should involve consent. That's another conversation. In marriages,
why must everything global best practices come from the West?
I'm just giving an example of what happens in the West, and then we'll compare to what happens here, right? So in the UK, in America, there is something called marital rape, which here, for example, in Nigeria, our laws don't expressly provide for. So there's something called marital rape, where if your partner decides that they don't want to be intimate with you and you force them, you have raped them. In Nigeria, however, that's not the position. In Ghana, then this might, so I don't know if this would exclude marital rape, because if one partner refuses and the other partner forces the person and then claims that they were causing them emotional distress, I don't know if you see where I'm coming from. So it's a bit of a dicey.
I wonder if the Ghanaian police, they don't
It's gender neutral.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm talking about it in terms of gender aspect. I'm talking about in terms of execution, the balance.
Exactly.
I'm very worried about this law. And I'm worried because some people will see this as a piecemeal. It's an opportunity to be able to do what I've been willing to do. Trust me on that one. For some men, do you understand what I'm saying? It's a case of saying, okay, fine. See, we have to be very careful. There are stories and instances you hear where there's something called the plot. Somebody can actually sit down, and plot could come from either gender. Either it could be the male or the female. Okay, the male could plot that, okay, I want to end this relationship. So you start plotting from way back. You start forming, or you cause chaos in the house, scatter everywhere, and then you now wait to see, you know the reaction of this person because you know this person so well. You've stayed with this person for years, so you know how they will react to this issue. You use it against them, plot, and then you go straight to the police and say, oh,
it's causing emotional distress.
Yes.
This is
manipulative,
but I'm just
triggering behavior.
The other angle I'm looking at is how you know, the Ghanaian police are not dealing with issues of banditry, terrorism. They have
They don't have
such problems.
They don't have issues of tint permits, so therefore they can start highlighting.
They are not checking the tax reform again. So what is not saying they changed? Oh,
You don't have issues.
They're enjoying.
No problem. But
Ghanaian police is almost like they're dealing with issues of Boy Scouts, man of war type of crimes.
let the Ghanaian people come and answer for themselves. But
let's see what
the
Ghanaians are saying.
Exactly.
Our challenge.
Our opinion is minute in comparison
Shout out to our Ghanaian expatriate here, Moses.
All right. The light bringer Kiko says, wait. So saying no can land you in jail now. Emotional abuse is serious, yes, but this one sounds like someone misread the law and added a plot twist. Consent still matters, officer. So you see what I was saying to you earlier about the conversation of consent, even within marriage.
Very important.
Hey, one thing I believe, and I will always maintain that idea, is that the more laws we make, the less justice we will attain. Imagine a man rapes the wife, then the case gets to court, and he defends himself. See what I was saying? And he defends himself as she refused me sex, causing me emotional abuse. Thank you very much. That's a very valid, because this is what I brought this up earlier. The officer's quote is real, but the legal claim attributing this directly to the act is misleading or overstated. Denied sex might contribute to a broader pattern of abusive behavior in some cases, but it is not grounds for jail under the law as stated. Exactly. That was very simplistic. I believe that his explanation of that law was very simplistic. And who is the partner? Married or just relationship? Definitely married. It cannot be just relationship. Sorry. The law in that case does no fun. It does not apply to fornication.
Exactly. Of transport fare.
If I am Bakobu says, if you don't have a job, you are exempted.
I know these things.
If you're not married, you're exempted. But if you are married and you have a job, you'll understand that sex is not a fantasy in marriage. Just as eating good food is not a flex for rich people. I don't understand this one. If you don't agree, you are a kid 100%. I don't understand this tweet.
So what he's saying is, he said, if you don't have
if you are jobless, you shouldn't be thinking of intimacy.
But if you
if you're not married, you're exempted. He's saying,
if you are married and you have a job,
you understand that sex is not a fantasy in marriage, just as eating good. So what he's saying is, I get his point, and I will explain.
Sensei.
For if
Albert Einstein. You must explain.
No, what he's simply saying is, let me explain, like our friend says, the online banker. What he's just simply saying is, if you are busy, if you have a lot to do, it's not going to be a fantasy. And again, because you've been in it for years, it's not going to be what you are more. It's not a big deal where you're going to kill yourself over and so on and so forth. However, if both partners go busy and all that, they wouldn't really have that as if on the front burner to say, oh, because they are busy. Basically, that's what he's saying. But if you don't have, that's why I said, if you have a job, you wouldn't be focused on certain things. But if you don't have a job, you know, like they say, if you check, how did they put it that back then? They say those who are in poverty have more children or something like that because they have time for that. But if you're not, you're busy here and there. But anyway, that's the best way.
Well, I can't relate because I'm not here in that marital institution, so I don't understand how people rule. But I think as we wrap up the conversations this morning, it's sad that I'll be wrapping up on this sad note, talking about the Auchi fire, and there were a number of people who, thankfully, no lives were lost according to reports, but it was really sad. The Auchi fire. Police officers, it was reported that they arrived in time to disperse the crowd, scrambling to scoop free fuel. Just minutes before the truck exploded, 3 explosions occurred at Igbe Road, then at Igbo Shade area, and finally at the Auchi Okene Road. Properties worth millions were damaged, and it was, they said that some of the locals believed that it was a coordinated bomb attack, but that it wasn't. According to NEMA, no death was recorded, and however, 25 people, including a child, suffered varying degree burns, nose bleeding, head injuries, deep cuts and lacerations, and 11 have been discharged. The ownership of the truck remains undisclosed, but locals suggest the condition of the road contributed to the driver's loss of control, while again, some other locals still insist that it was a terrorist attack. Now, I want to point out something that I've talked about on the show over and over again, about when there's an accident. Because, unfortunately, this is the festive season and there will be accidents. We're not praying for, but even on our way to work this morning, we saw some accidents on Third Mainland Bridge. Your first response is not to try to scoop fuel. If there has been an accident, your first response is to try and help people and get away as far from the place as possible, then get NEMA, get whatever agencies, whatever agencies, required agencies, call emergency services, call 112 if you're in Lagos. Your first response should not be to go and scoop fuel. What is the worth of your life?
Exactly.
Is your life not worth more than those few liters of fuel? I don't know if you understand that in the process of trying to scoop fuel from an accidented...
It's highly volatile.
It's volatile. There could be an explosion and you will roast on the spot for nothing. For nothing. On the other hand, I understand that there's a huge level of poverty. Poverty reveals certain patterns, right? People are poor. People are trying to make ends meet. People don't know where their next meal will come from. So whatever avenue they have to make money, they make. Whatever you need to do legally to make money, please go ahead and do it. But let this be an appeal. Let us stop scooping fuel. Let us stop rushing to scoop fuel. It is dangerous to you. It is dangerous to people around you, because in the process of you scooping fuel, you're encouraging other people to do the same. When they see you scooping fuel, you're giving them more ideas. They will come and do the same thing. And at the end of the day, you're risking not just your life, but the lives of others who are involved in the action. With your hearts go out to the people who were affected, and we do hope that we have clearer information in the coming hours as to what happened and that there are no lives lost in this matter. Gentlemen, any final thoughts?
No final thoughts. Let's go straight to our top stories for today. Well said, Olive, and we do hope that they will hear. My only question as we go to the top story is, the federal government and the Committee of the National Assembly had already called for a committee to look into the tanker explosion. Till today, we haven't gotten any report from the committee. Let's bring to you our top stories, and let's start the show right away here on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, analyzing discrepancies in the tax laws, the reforms. There's a lot back and forth, and Nigerians are still waiting to see it. NLC, Shore hold insecurity protests. It was brief, but of course it was held. Oil regulators screening, we'll take a look at that, as well as nominees pledge focus on local refining. And Abuja waste crisis. We do hear that the Federal Capital Territory is not smelling good at all. What's your take? Join us again on the front pages of the newspapers today on a Friday. Phone lines will be opened, so don't miss it. Stay with us.
A member of Nigeria's House of Representatives, Abdul Samad Dasuki, has raised red flags over what he calls unauthorized alterations to the newly passed tax laws. According to him, the gazetted version, the one now in public circulation, is not what lawmakers voted on. He says that he compared the gazetted copy with the harmonized version passed by both chambers and found notable discrepancies, calling it a breach of legislative privilege and a constitutional violation. Let's take a look. All right, we'll bring the video to you much later, where he, of course, expressed this on the floor of the House. But joining us for this discussion is financial analyst Kalu Aja. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
How are you doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So unfortunately, I don't know that we have enough information to see the discrepancies that are being referred to. But he spoke with so much conviction, and while we wait for more information, what will be the implication of this? If a gazetted law then differs from what the National Assembly passed, what will be the implications of this?
Loss of confidence, really. Like, we're not sure what's in the act. The president had signed it, and now we're hearing it was amended. There are a few snippets online to what was changed, and there are major changes, if they are true, to do with like arrests and coming before the National Assembly. What they passed had, like, they could arrest you if you didn't come before National Assembly and all that, and powers that were given and they were taken off the signed order. So they're not minor allegations. They are very, very major that affect the entire running and operations of the bill. But what it does do is remove confidence. This bill has already had a lot of controversy, including the deal with France and all that. So this just adds another layer of complexity and questions that we don't need. Tax laws are supposed to be smooth, people are supposed to accept it, and of course be compliant. But now people are going to be like, that's one reason why they wouldn't do it and all that. So not very, very good in my view.
Now, also following up on what you just mentioned, this is, when you talk about taxes, you're talking about people's hard-earned monies. And if there's a trust issue somewhere, people compliance will be very low. Would you advise the government just to go ahead with the implementation on the 1st of January, which is a few weeks from now, or they should come out in the open and address these issues, the merit of these issues?
Yeah, I declare they have to come out and say whether it's true or false, and then go back and essentially redo the whole process, sign every page. If you look at the budget pages, right, every page is signed for a reason. So you've got to reinstall trust in the process and trust in the document itself. You don't want to give people excuses. You could be sued. Now somebody will say, well, what was passed isn't what you are taking to court to pay taxes on. And you're going to find yourself in court. Then it gets messy. So they should have jumped all over this yesterday and said, it's true, it's not true, or this is what we're going to do, and all that. Silence, looks like consent that maybe there's something going on there. They should be more quicker to answer this. It was made on the floor. So it's more or less like an official allegation, right? So they need to take it very, very seriously. It's trust, like you said. Money is trust. If people don't trust, you're not going to pay taxes. Yeah.
All right. We're aware that today is the 19th day in the month of December 2025, a day that's quite significant, especially for the presidency, because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be presenting the appropriation bill of over 54 trillion naira to the National Assembly later today. I mean, hopefully Nigerians are waiting for a few things that they do not sing on your mandate and what will be inside of the budget. So they've highlighted three things they're looking forward to. They do not sing what's going to be on that budget, and lastly, if there will be an eventual presentation of what the previous fiscal appropriation bill had done, especially for the country in terms of what it was used for. So my question to you would be, as we wait for that presentation later today, can we rightly say that the previous ones last year, we did see some things that were inside of the budget? Nigerians had raised concerns, and why is this always repeating itself, which I'm also aware that you are aware of, are some things that would always show up, especially things that need to be purchased, and they keep coming up every now and then. What would you say concerning that, and how do you think this would impact heavily going forward into 2026, not having seen what 2025 appropriation bill had done in terms of making it open to Nigerians?
So let me try to be very, very polite, right? This process has been really broken. The budget process, very, very broken. As of today, we have zero report of 2025 income, spending, debt, or deficits from the federal government. These are quarterly reports, so we should have 4 or at least 3 by now. We have none. The last report that you see online on the budget office was dated 4th quarter 2024. So all the revenues, all the spending that was done from 2024 till today, we have no record. Then we're going to have a brand new budget that we've heard. The capital element is going to be from 2024 and 2025. It's going to be taken in 2026. We have no record. There's no way to track what has happened or what's going to happen. So it's a big fail on this government that came out and was going to change things and run by an accountant, quote unquote, that was going to basically do things better. So that's on one side. If you then look at the content of previous budget, like you've alluded, certain things come up: honorariums, buying of cars, tires, trainings. Although it's like they take the same budget, just apply a 5% or 7% increase and just represent it over and over and over. Nigerians don't feel the impact, right? But this particular process, if you look at the past years and this year, what we see is a pattern where we announce budgets on paper, especially the capital component, but we don't fund it. Then we borrow far in excess of what has been announced, and that doesn't go to the capital component. So that's what we're seeing right now. So even the announcement itself don't really hold water, because if you look at the implementation, they don't match up. We want to spend 13 trillion. We only release funds for about 6 trillion. Then we borrow like 12 trillion, or we don't take it to capital projects. So it's really a mess. To track the budget itself doesn't give you much confidence. I'm surprised folks still lend money to Nigeria based on our budget. It needs a lot of work. We talked about zero-based budgeting in the past, and I'm surprised we're not talking about it now. That's what we need to go back to. Clean slate, start afresh with new ideas and new milestones.
Okay, so let's talk responsibilities. Since you're speaking about the budget and the fact that we can't track this implementation, so on who does the responsibility lie? Who should we hold accountable? Also, referring to what you said earlier regarding tax and how the government should have come out at this point to clarify. I'm looking at Taiwo Yedele's X account. The last time he had posted it was 3 days ago. There hasn't been any official publication to dispute that. So on whose shoulder do you think the responsibility lies to give clarity regarding the alleged discrepancies in the tax bills and now with regards to the budget implementation?
The last person that had the budget was the federal government. So the House passes a bill, sends to the president assents, it then goes for gazetting. What he's alleging is that between the president signing and it being gazetted is where they were in session. So it's even weightier than that. The president has already signed, then at the gazetting stage, it was then changed. So whoever held it last, that's the chain of control. That person, was the person that we should hold responsible on that. Same thing with the budget. Whoever has the money is responsible for the implementation and all that. So Mr. Taiwo is more or less, quote unquote, like a line advisor to the president. He should have come out. He's very, very eloquent. Usually, he should have come out and says, "Oh, this is what's going on." Even the current bill, the current tax bill, right, already has some issues with 50 million and 100 million of the definition of a business. We already have that issue already before this allegation. There's 50, there's 100. Mr. Taiwo has confirmed there's going to be 100 million. How we define a small business, but there are two numbers in the act itself. So this is just an added layer of lack of trust, that it wasn't well done and all that. They've done a great job in the reform itself, but these sort of things sort of bring up speed bumps, and it's not good for trust and competence going forward.
Now, Mr. Ajay, we've seen, and it didn't start with this administration. We see budgets that are passed, or that it almost feels like a copy and paste of last year's line items. And we've been doing this. It's almost like a culture, is that the budget is not backed by any sort of scientific research or studies. It's just an exercise in almost like a copy and paste. Then we keep going on and on and on. The same year, doing the same thing. So what are the implications of this for growth and development in a country? And is the National Assembly truly doing its oversight functions? Because they seem to just let everything pass without deep scrutiny. If they were doing their jobs, we wouldn't have this repeat itself year on year.
So, it's just, I don't know where to start from. Look, just understand what's going on. Nigeria, let's look at Nigeria as we're third or fourth largest economy in the whole of Africa. We seem to be number one in the whole of Africa. When we pass a budget, folks take that budget and say, "Oh, how much is on capital? How much is on your current?" And they score the government just based on how much they allocate to capital spending. So last year we had the record announcement on capital spending. But if you look at if you go into the budget implementation, not the budget that was just passed on TV, you then see that when they allocate cash, they don't follow what's on the actual budget. And that's why you don't see the development in Nigeria. Because they announce there's going to be a road, then they start the road, but there's no funding for the road, but there's no funding for the hospital. So you look at the budget and say, well, they're going to build a hospital, you don't see it. There's going to be a road, they don't see it. Then you see there's corruption. Maybe somebody has, quote unquote, chopped the money. There's just no cash. Then they borrow. So where's the borrowing going to? Again, this administration removed fuel subsidy. And the idea was that when we remove fuel subsidy, we're going to get a lot of money. We don't need to borrow. We can do more capital projects. But right now, we're hearing there is no revenue to carry out the project. So what was the National Assembly doing for 12 months? That they couldn't call the guys in and say, quarter one, quarter two, where is your implementation? Why now are we hearing there's no money at the fourth quarter of 2025? We're talking of 2024 capital projects being moved to 2026. Someone dropped the ball, and then we're paying the price for that incompetence, really.
So, I mean, you've just talked about it. Someone really has dropped the ball. There is a provision here, Section 50, Nigeria's Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 requires the publication of quarterly budget implementation reports. It's December. We don't have the last quarter's budget implementation report. The Minister of Finance had commented about this, stating that, there are a number of bottlenecks that have ensured or that have prevented them from being able to achieve a number of the things that they had set out to achieve. 40 trillion was the target. They've only made 10 trillion. There's a 30 trillion shortfall that is now rolled over to 2026. Add the rollover from 2024 into 2025. What do we need to do to keep...
also add the fact that Mr. President said the budget, the revenue target had been met.
Yes, in August, he said the revenue target had been met, yet we're hearing a different explanation from the Minister of Finance. So where would we say we lost the plot? And what needs to change for us to be able to ensure that we don't keep having rollovers? We're having budget of restoration, budget of this and budget of that with all the fancy names, but it doesn't seem like it's achieving what it was set out to achieve.
Where they lost the plot was the assumptions they made was too positive. We were going to sell 2 million barrels at $75 a barrel. That was the first mistake. Those are very, very ambitious. When we put that in the budget, it gave us a false sense of income. With that false sense of income, we then went to the banks, to the Euro bonds, and we borrowed money, federal government bonds and all that. So we have a lot of borrowing, but the revenues have not come in. Output now for oil is about 1.4, 1.5. Price of crude oil is about 60, 65. That's a big hole. We've already borrowed. Now we have to cover that hole. And that's why we're in the mess we're in now. There's no revenue, but we have tons of projects. So the mistake they are doing, they are carrying over budget. You don't carry over a budget, you carry over a project. You can have a project for 10 years and it's funded annually in your budget. But they are carrying over the entire capital budget, 70% of the capital budget to next year. That's never done anywhere. And that's because they want to protect the folks, quote unquote, that have the constitutional projects in that budget. That's the mistake we're making. You can't build an airport in 1 or 2 years. So every year you appropriate funds. But I've never heard a budget is carried over into next year. Every year you look at your project, you fund or you drop. If we have less revenues, we should then have an austerity budget that says we cannot fund everything. We need to drop some. We're trying to cut our coats to fit our size and not the cloth that we have. So we're spending too much, we're borrowing too much, we're making record revenues, but the spending is out of proportion. I can give you numbers. Mr. Tinubu is spending 34 trillion. He's borrowing $1 trillion a month, plus the removal of subsidy. And still we have a deficit of about 12 trillion that he has to fund. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
All right. I also want to ask, spending that much and still borrowing, that's a different kettle of fish that Nigerians would have to deal with. But what happened to the customs, for instance? The customs had come out to say that they had made about 2.64 trillion in terms of revenue, which they say it's a high record of about 19%. And then you had the National Assembly telling the customs that they are targeting to hit about 6-point-something trillion. But bottom line, the customs is bringing in revenue. You have other state arms of government that's also bringing in revenue. And then, like you rightly mentioned, a question I also wanted to ask, the revenue that's coming from the subsidy, all of these revenues, if we piece them together, aren't they supposed to do something for the country to enable the government to stop borrowing? Or is it as a result of just marking the reports to say, yes, we brought in something, whereas maybe really there was nothing?
I think they're getting the revenues. Like I said, they're making record revenues. When President Buhari left office, revenues were about 7 trillion. In 2024, President Tinubu is in about 20 trillion. 20 trillion from 7 trillion. But when President Buhari left office, his spending was 6 trillion. Tinubu is spending 38 trillion. They are making a lot of revenues, but the one key issue that they're spending money on that they don't tell you is debt servicing. We have huge debt. That all the money from the customs, from the fuel subsidy, bulk of it is going towards debt servicing, not debt pay down, debt servicing. And the rest goes where? To pay salaries. So they really have nothing to do capital project with. They've got to pay salaries every month, and they've got to pay the debt every month. But capital projects can wait a bit. So that's why you hear the announcements, trillions raised by customs, trillions raised from, but you don't see projects. There's just no capital backing. Again, remember, we're only talking of 2024. In 2024, we had about a 13 trillion budget for capital expenses. The cash release was 6 trillion out of 13. But we borrowed 12 trillion. But we only gave capital 6 trillion. So where's the other funds? If we were borrowing for capital projects, then we would have funded the entire budget with just the borrowing to build the roads and all that. But now there are no roads, there are no funds to build those roads, but we've increased the borrowing. So clearly the borrowings are going towards paying salaries and debt servicing, which I suspect is why we don't have the implementations. I think if they bring it out, Nigerians will be a bit surprised to see the number that will be under debt servicing and not under capital expenses.
Now, Mr. Aja, I mean, just from what we've discussed today, one thing we can agree on is if we continue on this path, we're walking towards an abyss, and this is not sustainable. So at what point will the federal government admit and start taking steps to redress this balance? Because, I mean, let's look at a family, for example. If you're living above your means and you're borrowing more than you earn, people will look at you and say you're not responsible head of the family, and that's what we're seeing in the way the government is running the economy right now. What steps should the government take to correct this? Do they need to slow down on these legacy projects of 700 kilometer superhighway and remodeling the airport and other legacy projects they seem to have prioritized?
Well, it's two things. Number one is an austerity program, which means we're going to cut down on spending, just in summary. Number two is to do a zero-based budgeting. No template, just start in 2026 and say what is essential. If we don't have the money, we clearly have to do health and education and national security. Every other thing has got to justify why it should be in the budget. Do we need to travel abroad for training? Do we need to go for COP 26 or 27? We don't need all that anymore. So we're in a revenue crisis. That's where we are right now. If you read the papers, Nigeria is struggling to sell cargoes of crude oil. Even if we sell the cargoes of crude oil, we're selling at 60. The budget price is 75. This carryover what you're hearing is being predicated on selling 2 million barrels a day at 75. Clearly, that's not going to happen. The supplementary budgets are just more spending, not backed up by revenues. So we've got to pull back and say, like you said, when a family, dad has lost his job, we just have mom working. So income has fallen by 60%. So we're going to cut down on cable. We're not going to go to Greece for holiday. We've got to cut down, cut our coat according to the cloth. But what Nigeria is doing is saying, those projects, we're still going to do them. We'll simply take them to next year, and then we're going to pray that revenues come in. So we can, just so we have a carryover of projects, we've got to admit to ourselves, the money is not there to do these projects. Cut them down and ask ourselves real questions. We have an east-west road. Can we just go and fix that and leave the coastal road for now? Can we fix the other inner roads that bring food to the cities? What is essential? National security, of course, is very essential. Do we focus on that so we can bring down inflation when we get more food supply? We can't do everything. Every project is good. A road from Sokoto State to Badagry is very, very good. But if you can't fund it, why are you starting it when you have roads that are still not motorable? So again, scale of preferences in economic terms. You've got to go back. Very simple issues: austerity, zero-based budget, scale of preference, and then you solve your problem right there.
This austerity, it's a bit scary to think about.
I don't like the word.
I really don't like it. But as a Nigerian citizen who is also directly affected by whatever policies or inefficiencies the government may exhibit at any point, if we have all these rollovers going into 2026, what is the implication for individuals, for businesses, bearing in mind that there will be an implication of the new tax law from the 1st of January?
So it's keep it very, very simple. It means there's going to be more spending, but we don't have the money, so there's going to be more borrowing. When the government goes to borrow, it drives the private sector out of the market because it can borrow the best. So the cost of capital goes up. So if you're an SME, it's harder for you to get a loan. If they borrow more, it stresses the Naira in relation to they have to go back and somehow fund the Naira. So Naira gets stressed, your exchange rate weakens and all that. So the government's capacity to take intervention measures in the economy is also weakened. It's got no revenues. And then that's why you see the cracks. You see ASU will come out and say, we don't need more money. They go on strike because there's just simply no money. If you announce revenues in trillions, but you are still borrowing, and you've removed this fuel subsidy, the fuel subsidy was the big piggy bank that we're looking at to say, well, subsidy goes, the federation, not just the federal government, the federation, states, locals, and federal government gets a lot of money. It has happened. Monies have doubled, but the spending has also doubled. The debt has also gone up. So it's like we've earned nothing from paying this high price on fuel. Think about it. You're paying high prices on PMS because the government told you they will take that money and build you a road. There is no road. You are paying the high prices. So it's a big problem. We are already under austerity. Private families are already under austerity. It's only the federal government that is spending as if it's in an oil boom, buying new jets, and not looking at cutting down spending to match what the people it's governing are already doing.
And I mean, I don't think that we can wrap this up now that we're talking about oil without referring, at least touching briefly on the drama between Dangote and the NMDPRA and, invariably the NUPRC, I think Nigerian Union of Petroleum Regulators, NUPRC. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get your thoughts on what has happened. There has been a corruption allegation. There's been some resignation. Whether they are directly related, we do not know. We cannot say. But there have also been some allegations against Dangote about him trying to monopolize the market and him trying to prevent importation. So let's get your thoughts on that and what the implication will mean for the larger for the country at large, especially because this is an area we've struggled with over the course of the years.
Yeah, look at it this way, right? If you go around the world, you can count on one finger $20 billion projects. From America to China to anywhere in the world, you can count on one hand 20 billion project. We have one in Nigeria. Whatever we say about Dangote, he's brought a 20 billion project to Nigeria. You could have gone to Benin or Togo or Ghana, put that refinery there. Nigeria will go and buy and pay him dollars. He came to Nigeria. So whatever his intentions, he's now a strategic investor, and they will call him a too big to fail investor. If you take away Dangote refinery from Nigeria's economic picture, your Naira goes to like 10,000 to $1. Dangote refinery plus petrochemical. We're now exporting aviation fuel, fertilizers to the Americas, and in Forex. The point I'm making, he's a strategic investor that cannot fail. But he's not being treated in Nigeria as such. Whatever the issue, Pengasing cannot shut down Dangote refinery. Whatever the issue, whatever. It can't happen in another country where you shut down, can you shut down a nuclear power plant in France? It's unthinkable. You can go on strike, but those power plants will still be on. So we have to be able to separate the operations of Nigeria and then personal issues. And this all started from the regulator saying Dangote petrol products were like below standard. That's where all this started from. Then Dangote and them have been fighting this shadow proxy war. They're reducing prices. Why is Nigeria still importing PMS? With which dollars? We're talking about we don't have which dollars are we using to import PMS? Why should 1 liter of PMS come into this country when we have the largest refinery in sub-Saharan Africa? It doesn't make any sense. That's what the coordinating minister is supposed to do, to say, even though we want to encourage imports, we now have to concentrate around a refinery, give that refinery local crude so that we get the benefits of scale and the local value add of the refinery. If Dangote was a quote-unquote foreigner, would have been treated this way? I doubt it. So, it's sad what's happening. Other billionaires are now watching and saying, well, if this can happen to Dangote, I'll leave my money in Monaco. I'm not going to bring it to Nigeria and then get rubbish like this. That's just the way it feels. He's not been treated well, irrespective of whatever intention. If he's a monopolist, where were the rest? Other folks have licenses. Why didn't they also build a refinery? So I don't think Nigeria is suffering. That's the point I'll put it. And yeah.
Okay. My final question will come from the tax reform. Permit me to go this route. I know you've been following this very seriously, and the worry for most Nigerians, including myself, and I'm sure it's the same for my colleagues, is why do you think the FIRS, which will be known as the NIRS from January, why the partnership, the MOU with France? Doesn't Nigeria have enough companies to have handled the new tax reforms?
Yeah.
You have the KPMGs, you have Deloitte, you have Ernst & Young, you have Price Waterhouse, all of that. How come it's France? And why is this MOU held so much in secrecy?
Yeah, that's a problem. Like on the surface, it sounds okay. We're going to go to France to get technical assistance on taxes. Fine. But why is it a secret? If it's technical assistance, why put it out there? Because when you allow rumors to swirl around, it grows legs and then it becomes substantive. You've got to get ahead of this. If folks are asking for what you signed and you say it's just a technical cooperation, put it out there. Kill the story. But because they've refused to put it out there, this story has now grown legs and has now embedded itself that it's something secret they are doing in France. They don't want the taxpayers to see. And that's unfortunate. Nothing regarding taxes should be secret. Where it's our money. You are asking us to be transparent, but you are not being transparent. Like you said, it's with France, it's not with the EU. There are many other bodies in Europe that basically cooperate with governments on taxes. Why didn't we go there? Why did we go to a government in France to say, come and help us? And for the Nigerians that are maybe supporting this, the French elections are going to come up very, very soon. This government in France may leave office, or they might have a divided Congress. It will be unfortunate if this is now coming, if this we now going to find out from the French what we signed. The same thing we're doing in Burkina Faso now, where we talk and then in the end we go back there. If there's an agreement, release it. And sure there's nothing amiss here. We signed a technical agreement, trust us. But when you keep things secret, you tell people that, listen, I don't want you to see this. So why shouldn't we see it? Because you have interest in that agreement that you like to protect. That's what people will say, and you can't blame them for that. Again, trust issues. If you want to take my money, you've got to be very, very transparent. The government of Nigeria is not being transparent about taxes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu Aja, for joining us and sharing about this. I guess in the next few hours, we probably will hear from the government, or days. We should expect to get a response, and we'll know what the next steps are. Thank you for your time with us.
Thank you very much.
A pleasure. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. All right. Still speaking about the tax reforms, what to expect in the new year regarding the tax laws, and maybe what the implication of the alleged discrepancies are. We're now being joined for the second part of this conversation by partner Tax Regulatory and People Services Division at KPMG Nigeria, Marians Aroge. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's Martins.
Martins, so sorry about that. Thank you, Martins Aroge, for joining us this morning. Before we get into the conversation, let's take a look at the video that had sparked this online conversation about the discrepancies, the alleged discrepancies between the approved tax law and what was put before the House. Let's take a look.
A breach of privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee of Ethics and Privileges. Still, if the matter is raised in the Committee of the Whole, the chairman shall leave the chair on the order to report progress. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm here today because my privilege has been breached as a member of this all-important House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we passed the tax laws on this floor. And Mr. Speaker, I took my time in the last 3 days to look at the gazetted past copy, the vote and proceedings of the House of Representatives, and also went an extra mile to look at the vote and proceedings of the Senate of what was harmonized. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have all the copies, but I'm coming under privilege because I was here, I gave my vote, and it was counted, and I'm seeing something completely different. So on that note, on this privilege, I will call on Mr. Speaker to graciously look at what was harmonized, what is in the gazetted copy, what was passed in the House and the Senate, you will find out what is before Nigerians, which is being sold to Nigerians at the Ministry of Information, which I personally went to buy the gazetted copies, are not what was passed. So there is no motion here, but Mr. Speaker, I'll be pleading that all the documents should be brought before the committee of the whole. The whole members should see what is in the gazetted, should see what they passed on the floor, so that we can make the relevant amendments. Mr. Speaker, this is a breach of the Constitution, this is a breach of our laws, and this should not be taken by this Honourable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Abdul Samad. Your observation is noted.
All right, welcome back. Martins, I'm sure you've seen this video before now, but it was important for us to play it again to give context to the conversation. We're not quite sure what the details are, but I'd like you to talk to us about the implications. If we confirm officially that there are key discrepancies between what was passed, judging by what the lawmaker said.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first concern for me is around timing, because these gazette copies have been out for a bit, and they are scheduled to come into effect, at least the bulk of the new laws that would impact companies operating in Nigeria are scheduled to come into effect in 11 days. Lawmaking is a very complex and complicated process. As much as we think it is simple, it isn't that very simple. We have two houses of parliament, more or less, in Nigeria, the upper and the lower house. They both look at these laws. If you recall, this was an executive bill as at the time, so it was prepared by the executive and submitted to the National Assembly. You have the Senate looking at it independently. You have the House looking at it independently, and then after they are both done, you probably would have about three versions: the executive version, the Senate version, and then the House version. And then you then have to harmonize all of those three versions to come up with one bill, which will then be presented to the president for assent. After that, there's a long process that goes with the draftsmen looking at it, trying to ensure that they dot all of the I's and cross all of the T's. And from experience, we've always seen that because of all of the long procedural steps that you need to undertake to pass any law, you typically may find some discrepancies between versions. Most of the times, a lot of time it's not deliberate. It's just that, as they say, too many cooks and the broths. So we do see these sort of issues from time to time. Now, I don't know, because all of us we're not part of all of that process. What we see at the end of the day is what is published in the Gazette. So I don't know what the level of discrepancy, if any, exists between what was finally passed by the House and the final version. And like I said, what was passed by the House may be different from what was passed by the Senate. All of this has to be harmonized. So it's at some point we hope that we have some clarity. But if I speak from an investor perspective, most investors, all they are interested in is which version was passed by which house. All they're interested in is having clarity so that they can plan. And that, which is why I talked about the timing, because these laws come into effect for the most part on the 1st of January 2026.
Okay, Mr. Martins, yeah. Sorry to cut in. We'd like you to just hold your thoughts. We do have a break to go for. When we come back, we'd like to hear some more and possibly also look at something similar to the last question we asked our first guest, why the MOU hasn't been made public yet or hasn't been made available to some who have requested for it. But please do stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're taking a look at the implication concerning the in quotes, discrepancies that have been allegedly found in the recent tax reforms that seems or is prepared to be passed and starts on January the 1st, 2026. Well, our guest here is one who has a very key experience in this, especially when it comes to taxation, and we're going to look at some of the implications as well. But let me also quickly mention that if you check online, you'd find that Nigerians are asking so many questions. Questions such as, why isn't the tax reforms laws made available to Nigerians to read? Why are economists not talking about it now, especially since the information or the video we saw of the alleged discrepancies that were found inside of the tax reforms laws document? So I'm going to go straight to you very quickly. And my question would be, now that we know that the government is set and ready to ensure that this law takes effect on the 1st of January, what should Nigerians expect, especially for those who seem to be far back and are not ready at all to roll with the new tax laws? What should we expect?
Okay, I think it depends on which side of the spectrum you are on. For a number of companies, I think that there's some positivity coming out of it. For a very long time, we've talked about our value-added tax system, or what we used to call a value-added tax system in Nigeria, which was in all effect a modified sales tax, because under a normal VAT system, you should be able to recover all of your input VAT. That's one very big, significant change that we would be seeing with this new act. It's a very positive change, and I think a number of companies are excited about that. I know that a lot of talk has been around bank accounts and government having access to bank accounts and all of that. But I think a lot of those talk isn't particularly very correct, because one, government has always had access to requests for information, including bank information. So it's not something that is particularly new or something that has been introduced by the new tax reform. Like I said to a group of people, it is not in anyone's interest to begin to do an individual audit or review of everyone's bank account. It will take the entirety of all of the tax officers' time, and the yield would not be commensurate with the effort. So Nigerians should be very relaxed about. I don't think that's an issue for consideration. If you look at the personal income tax, the exempt band has been increased. Now, your first 800,000 naira of income is exempt from personal income tax, which I think is the positive. Now, there are concerns around what the tax impact overall would be, especially for middle income earners, and whether they would see a drop or a slight increase in their tax payable. But for low income earners, it's a positive in terms of what to expect from the implementation of the new tax laws. So I think that there are positives. Now, there are other concerns around the incentive framework and whether they are appropriate, because we need to understand one thing. Nigeria is a developing country. We do have a very strong need to continue to attract investors and investments into the country, and it's a competitive landscape, a competitive global landscape that we operate in. Every country is looking to attract investors, and the amount of investment capital that is available is not infinite, is limited. So we need to also continue to look at that investment framework and whether it is sufficient to continue to ensure that Nigeria remains competitive in terms of being able to attract FDIs.
Okay, so because unfortunately, I mean, we've heard your explanation, but unfortunately, we are a nation that thrives on a lot of last-minute things. When they give a deadline and they say on the 20th, you have to do this, you see that by 19th, everybody's rushing to regularize their document. I want you to break this down for middle-income earners, for business owners. What next steps do they need to take for those who maybe have had their business, they've run their business with their personal account? What steps do individuals and businesses need to take? And what things should they be wary of? Should we go ahead, I mean, as we planned to continue with implementation or begin the implementation on the 1st of January?
Okay, again, most of the things I will say are not because we are coming into a new vista of tax reforms. most of these things are things you should typically be doing even right now under the current tax dispensation. If you run a business, the importance of record keeping can never be overemphasized. I think Nigerians tend to conflate the individual and the business, where we think that it's one and the same person. But it's not. Your business is a separate entity from you as an individual. So you need to ensure that you have appropriate records for your inflows and your outflows. And again, like I said, it cannot be overemphasized. One of the changes that we've introduced right now is also tie your payment of indirect tax to your ability to also claim a tax deduction for expenses. So if you were transacting any business and that transaction was liable to VAT, for example, or you were importing goods and you were supposed to pay duties and you try to avoid all of that by cutting corners, you would also not be able to take a tax deduction for those expenses. So I think the most important thing for individuals and businesses is to ensure that they have a system where they can track and keep adequate records, because it's going to be more important than ever, ensuring that you have the records to substantiate what you've earned and what you've spent during the course of the year.
Now, Mr. Aroge, still back to the controversies surrounding the discrepancies in the gazetted law, which they claim is different from what was passed by the National Assembly by Honorable Abdulsamad Dasuki. You did touch on this earlier. You said that there are concerns for foreign investors, and you're also worried about the timing. Looking at the fact that we will be in January in a few weeks, is there still time to install confidence in the Nigerian people and trust, and also communicate effectively and address this very pertinent issue?
In fact, I think you already answered the question. It's about communication and effective communication. Like I was saying earlier, investors, one thing that is very key to investors is certainty. I might not like the tax regime, and I might not like the tax framework, but if I know what it is, I can plan around about it. I can model my business in a way and manner where I can manage what the tax risk and tax exposures may be from doing that business in a country. And then I can then see if I can overall make an appreciable margin for my investors from doing that business. So when you hear things like this, that's where there is some concern around. So if I've been planning around what has been issued, will it change between now and January 1st? What will change in it? What was in the original version that is not in this version? So that lack of certainty is a thing of concern. And the only way you can manage that, you already mentioned it, is effective communication. If there are issues, and like I said, it's almost impossible. I think at most places in the world, when you have this sort of large-scale change, you may see these sort of issues because of the number of people involved in the process from start to end. So you may see some issues where there are slight changes, discrepancies, not deliberate, but just because, again, it's so many people involved in all of that process. So it's important that we understand what's the extent of this discrepancy, if any, and what will change so that businesses can have enough time to plan and react to these issues, because certainty is certainly very key for all manner of investors.
All right, just to wrap things up, final question. The president will be at the National Assembly today. He's expected to touch down live, and the presentation of the 2026 appropriation bill will also be made known to the National Assembly and by extension Nigerians, including yourself and us. What do you make of the fact that we're about to see another presentation for 2026, whereas 2025 has not been met with a complete expectation that was initially highlighted to be? Take, for instance, we're also expected to see a lot of things in the budget that was not implemented in 2025. What's your take on that? Do you think it's well enough to help investors or instill investor confidence? And what will it do for the economy going forward?
Okay, I think my first response to that is the fact that that I had a plan in the past that I wasn't able to effectively implement is not a basis not to plan for the future. So we do have to plan, and the budget is actually a description of the country's plan for the year. So I appreciate the fact that we've struggled with budget implementation and the budget planning cycle, but it is no basis, it's not a reason for us to then hands up and say no more planning. So we do have to go through this process. I think we need to be a lot more disciplined when it comes to budget implementation, and maybe a lot more realistic, because when you hear things about, we were only able to generate less than 30% of projected revenues, it calls into question the entire budget planning process. So we probably need to look at how we go about the entire process from end to end, because the people rely on this budget. People rely on, because again, like I said, it's a snapshot of the country's plan for a year. So if I were doing business either with or in the country, I would look at the budget and I would expect that it would give me an idea of what to expect from the country over the next 12 months. The minute I can no longer rely on that plan, then it calls into question whatever we are doing and how we are doing it. So it's very important that we look at the entire process of preparing the budget, its implementation, and ensure that we get it right this time. Because yes, like you said, there are a number of people who rely on the budget, and it's important that we don't get to a point where people look at it and say it's just a reading phase, nothing's going to happen. We can't rely on this. We don't want to be in that position at all.
Thank you so much for your submission and your time with us here today. We don't want to get to a stage where our budget becomes a budget of God, man proposes, God disposes. We need to really put in the work. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we have more to talk about here on Breakfast Central. Do well to stay with us. Don't forget to drop a comment or two. We're streaming live on social media. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and also on X. Stay with us.
The High Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja has issued a restraining order against members of the All Progressive Congress in Cross River and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, barring them from enforcing a controversial resolution aimed at removing the state's party chairman, Alphonsus Ogar Eba.
Now, this legal twist follows a dramatic vote of no confidence passed by members of the State Executive Committee who claim to have ousted Eba and installed an acting chairman, Ntufam Ekum Ogoju, Ojogu, I beg your pardon. The claimant Eba had approached the court through a motion ex parte filed by his counsel, Ayotunde Ogunleye San, seeking protection from what he described as an unlawful resolution dated November 26, 2025, which allegedly sought to prevent him from carrying out his duties as the APC chairman in Cross River State. Well, this morning, we do have the chairman of the APC in Cross River State, Honorable Alphonsus Ogar Eba, who is also known as the political evangelist. He joins us this morning with all smiles and ready to talk about the current situation of the economy, his own travails concerning maintaining or retaining his seat as APC chairman in Cross River, and not forgetting to speaking about the recent happenings, especially in the Federal Capital Territory. Once again, welcome and thank you for being here. Well, I'm told that we seem to have a network connectivity issue with our guest, but we hope that he will be able to get back online and speak with us. As for us here in the studios, I think the conversation will really look quite colorful in the aspect of talking about the recent reforms that's coming in January, what the APC members are saying about it. We've seen some of the reactions already on social media. Take, for instance, the SSA to the president has said that is one that will definitely bring about great changes. We've also seen other APC stakeholders and stalwarts also calling it one that will bring about the perfect change that Nigerians truly need, especially when it comes to taxation and boosting the economy. We also look at the political landscape. Currently, we do have the governor of Plateau State who is moving to the APC as well. And then, I don't know if you saw the video of former Minister of Labour, Christian Gige, who, as soon as he got his exit from the prison, he went straight to the APC meeting, and he appeared
was in
there.
High spirits.
Yeah, high spirit. He was from outside looking in. I don't know if he eventually got in.
But I'm very interested in this conversation we're about to have with the political evangelist, because all seems to be well in paradise talking about the APC. So I wonder why APC members are taking themselves to court. What's the bone of contention? What is really happening? And would he claim that part of his achievement as a chairman of the state APC is his ability? How much role did he play in making his governor defect from the People's Democratic Party to the APC? And what steps will be taken next after this court case? It would be great to hear from a man involved in this issue personally, who has a personal stake here, and of course a scorecard of the administration as we inch towards 2027 and what's happening in Cross River State. Yes.
Well, I'm hoping that we can connect with him and have that conversation and see exactly why it is that they passed the vote of no confidence and what the plan is, and where he stands. He's spoken before. This is not our first time interviewing him. He's spoken so passionately about the APC, his belief in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his belief in the party, and it'll be interesting to find out if that position still stands and what his political career will be looking like going from here forward. We're just having a bit of connection issue with him, and we hope that that can be sorted. Also, it'd be great to hear his thoughts regarding a number of the things that have happened within the country. For example, the courts affirming the ability of the president to declare state, not just declare a state of emergency, but also to suspend democratically elected governors, and the juxtaposing this with the fact that a number of governors are moving to the All Progressives Congress, and citizens are expressing the fear of us being a one-party state. These are the areas of the conversation that we're hoping to explore, and let's see what happens from there on.
Okay. We'll soon try and re-establish connection with the APC State Party Chairman in Cross River State, Alphonsus Ogar Eba, to join us on this very important discussion we're about to have this morning.
All right. We have connection with him now. Thank you very much for joining us, Honorable Alphonsus Ogar Eba. Let's start with, what has happened first. Was a vote of no confidence passed against you? And, what has been the position regarding your chairmanship in the All Progressives Party in Cross River State?
To God be the glory. To God be the glory. It is true that an illegal and unconstitutional vote of no confidence, which runs contrary to Article 17(1), Roman figure 5, and Article 12(9), Roman figure 32, was purportedly passed on the 26th day of November by some small portion of what constitutes a state executive committee. If you take a community reading of the articles I have mentioned to, particularly Article 12(9), Roman figure 32, the composition of the members of the state executive committee in Cross River State is about 300. So if 30 persons gather to say they have passed a vote of no confidence, it is not even up to 1/3. To talk about the 2/3 that is required. That is illegal, and that settles that issue. So the question, whether I still believe in Tinubu, I am an unrepentant I had
Sorry, we're trying to get you there. Your last words, you're an unrepentant. We wanted to get unrepentant what? Especially what you...
I believe I can complete it. We can
Yes.
fill the gap. Because this is not the first time we're talking to him. Unrepentant political evangelist, preaching the gospel
of President
APC.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC.
Yes.
Well, you're taking it from the horse's mouth. We wanted to hear from the horse's mouth itself. But let's hope that his network will be able to allow him connect once more so we can have that conversation.
I mean, if you're ever in Lagos, it would be nice for you
Yeah.
to stop by our studio and let's do this one-on-one. Yes.
All right, let's now move on to another conversation. The presidential nominees for the leadership of Nigeria's key petroleum regulatory agencies have assured the Senate that strengthening local production will be their top priority. Appearing before the Senate's Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources, the nominees for the upstream and downstream regulatory commissions pledged to limit fuel importation to a mere stopgap measure. News Central's Sagir Ibrahim reports.
The Senate Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources grilled two critical nominees tasked with steering the nation's oil and gas sector. Saidu Mohammed, nominated as Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and Orishemeyiwa Eyeson, designated to head the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, faced the lawmakers to defend their competence. Responding to concerns about Nigeria's reliance on fuel imports, the nominees say that regulatory decisions must prioritize national interest and domestic refining and pledge to eliminate sector opaqueness by using digitalization to ensure accountability for every barrel of oil produced.
We have to protect our local investment. Because if local refining, we have been yearning for it. There was a time in this country where the 3 local refineries were the ones meeting our demand. As a matter of fact, the 4th refinery that came into Port Harcourt was for export. And that's why we built the Boni Export Terminal. The products were supposed to be exported, and behold, we started exporting.
You must analyze real numbers. And if you don't have a digitized system in today's operation, you are losing money, you are wasting money. So these are areas that we must focus on.
Committee members expressed optimism about the appointments, noting that the nominees possess the requisite experience to stabilize the volatile industry.
We are joining you, congratulate Mr. President, congratulate Nigeria for having you to lead this very important sector, very critical, more especially this time around where we are in serious need of to boost our energy production in order to maximize our revenue.
I am very happy with Mr. President for the appointment of both of you. Very well educated, very experienced, very apt. You are like the round peg in a round hole. They've said so many good things about you, both the ones you've done and the expected ones. I have no fears that they are wrong.
The confirmation of both nominees is expected to follow shortly at plenary, setting the stage for a new regulatory regime in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. From the National Assembly, Abuja, for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
All right, thank you, Sagir, for that. We'll now continue with the conversation we began earlier regarding the chairmanship of the APC chairman in Cross River State. We have Honorable Alphonsus Ogar Eba, who's joined us again, and we hope that we can have a stable conversation now. Before we went, we had that technical disruption. You had explained that the 30 members who had passed the vote of no confidence did not make up to 1/3. Talk more of the required 2/3. Now you're about to answer, the other parts of the question, but I just want to push back on that a little. Why do you think that there were even up to 30 of them that passed the vote of no confidence? Is it that they do not trust in your leadership, or would you say it's a political strategy? And if yes, from whom?
In fact, I sympathize with my colleagues, many of whom ate and dined with me a few days before then, came crying to me that they were called to government house by the chief of staff and were told that the system no longer needs me. They cried. I have text messages. I have videos on how my colleagues came to me to say, what is happening? You have worked so well. Why does the system not need you again? And I told them, don't worry. God will speak for us. It is not as if they lack any confidence in me. But the truth is that we are in very trying moments. A lot of them said no. I got nothing less than about 24 of them who came to me and said they will never do this. But when they started threatening them, when they started saying, oh, the powers that be do not want you again, they were concerned about their meals. And they told me, please, please, we will only join you in prayers. I returned to God knowing that my faith in God is very strong. And I have been praying. And only yesterday, God, who has always answered my prayers, did the unimaginable that the FCT High Court here gave a restraining order, nullifying that resolution, and ordering that nothing should be done to my tenure. I return all glory to God.
Who is the day?
Giving a further order that the next meeting I'm supposed to attend today, I should be allowed to attend. And if any extension is going to be granted, I should benefit from the extension, which has always been the fear of the system. I am a very loyal person to the governor. I don't know where the devil has come up with all these issues, but I trust in God. The Bible said they will surely gather, but because the gathering is not authorized by God, they will surely fail. I am a die-hard supporter of Asiwaju. I am a die-hard supporter of Governor Otu. I brought a party that was in fracture, that was in faction. In 2021, I brought it together. Through my evangelism of peace, love, unity, and growth today, my greatest enemies or opponent will tell you, this young man has done magic in Cross River State. If this is going to be the reward of man, I leave it in the hands of God. My tenure ordinarily expired on the 16th of October. And I did Thanksgiving. I gathered all my colleagues and we praised God. The little extension that has been given to us today in the party by NEC, the national chairman met with us on the 9th and said we are no longer chairman, but we are caretaker. And that because we enjoy this extension from the NEC, nobody can tamper with our tenure. And so that is what we enjoy. Today, the NEC meeting has been fixed. And I was taken aback after I've been invited to go for the NEC. And then I saw my deputy, who is parading himself as acting chairman, being called a few days ago to get a letter. And so I had to rush to court because Section 6, Section 6B, Section 46 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gives me the opportunity to so do.
Okay, do you have any issues with Chief Emmanuel Iromba, who happens to be, Emmanuel Iromba rather, who happens to be the Chief of Staff? Yeah. Do you have any issues with him? Is there any problem? Are you guys at loggerheads? Could he be the one who's orchestrating all of this drama?
And what's your relationship with Prince Basil?
I must say with the fear of God that I did not believe before now that I had any issue with him. In fact, I call him the spiritual leader of the party because in my ecclesiastic method, I say the governor is the political God the father, while Ayomba is the spiritual leader, and I'm only the political godson. So it is Trinitarianism we practice in Cross River State. There is nothing I have done to the best of my knowledge that should infuriate him. But recently, when the former governor of Cross River State came in after he has handed over power to attend the wedding of the stepson of the governor, he had discussed with me and he has told the governor about a reception for him. And by the grace of God, I shared with the governor and got the approval of the governor to invite people to receive a governor who handed over power in 2023 and has never come to the state. And this was his first visit. I saw it as a moment of halcyonism. I saw it as a moment of coagulation. And therefore the joy that should herald at was that the former governor and the present governor, whom a lot of people were thinking were not on the same page, they were now coming together to seal the bond of love, which is my peace, love, unity, and growth of APC. But Emmanuel Ayomba saw me and harassed me and said, instead of you coming to receive national officers of the party, you are posting messages, say people should come and receive Governor Ayade. And I was shocked. I said, what has that got to do with that? I spoke with the national officers. They told me they will come on the 8th, on the 7th. I didn't know they were coming on the 6th. Please don't use that against me. In any case, here we are as a family. Little did I know that rumors went round that I gave too much prominence to the former governor. That why will a former governor be received with that kind of fanfare? That to them it is disloyalty to the present governor. And I said, no. You must distinguish between gratitude and loyalty. I owe gratitude to the former governor. The book of Luke 17:11-19 is very clear. Jesus healed the 10 lepers. Only one returned to thank, and Jesus said, where are the remaining 9? To Governor 2, I owe loyalty because loyalty is a subject of authority. The book of Romans 13:1-7 is very clear. Subject yourself to those in authority. There is no leadership contest between Governor Ayade and Governor 2. And I don't want anybody to bring this narrative. 2 of them are our leaders. We need them to be united to deliver Siwaju, to keep the party together. And that is the role I have been playing. I say again on national television that my governor is being misled, but let him know that it is the same me that did everything for him to sit as governor. He was disqualified on the eve of the primaries. I used all the powers that be and my might and the grace of God to clear him, to deliver him. If this is the thank you he wants to give to me, I leave it again to the hands of God. But I remain loyal to him. I am the first state chairman to endorse a sitting governor and his deputy. In this country, the records are there. I have given my blessing to the governor. I cannot work against him again. And so people should know who Alphonsus Ogar Eba is. My character, my integrity. Even if the governor tells me today, I do not want you again, I will say, thank you, Your Excellency. What have I done? Even if he gives me no reason, I will say, let me go. But to go and allege, when I came and complained to you and the chief of staff, that chapter ESCO members and ward ESCOs came and complained to us in the party, and the minute of the party is here, I will send to you to scan and see that chapter chairmen were not remitting the monies we normally give to them. And I carried out investigation and discovered that it is true. And I said, we will hold your salary until you come and explain why you are not paying your colleagues. And they turn around to accuse me, and you use that as a basis without withdrawing it. It is not fair to my image. It is not fair to my
Eba,
So when the national chairman intervened and said this matter should be resolved, he will take me to the governor. From the 9th, 10th, and 11th, I was always in the house of the national chairman, waiting to see my governor. My governor did not give access for me to come. Only for the national chairman to tell me on the 13th, after I had received my invitation letter for this neck, that I should go and see my governor will work out an arrangement and compensate me, and I should resign. And I said, Your Excellency, you told us in a meeting day before yesterday that only NEC has power to make us resign. The NWC met on the 12th, and they said they have no power to tamper with NEC decision. Why should I go and do this? And he said, obey me. I said, okay, let me go to my governor. I sent a message to my governor. The evidence is here. He did not welcome me. And the chairman came back, I reported to him. He said, no, you must bring that resignation because the governor wants to compensate you. And I said, please, that's the only compensation I want. I don't need any money. I don't need any appointment from my governor. But now that you have told him that what the state did was wrong, tell them to withdraw that. And I will postdate my resignation to the 31st of this month, when the extension ought to have elapsed. I gave all these windows, but nobody took me serious. A day later, I saw that the party was trying to progress in error. And I needed to save the image of the party, not to progress in error. Because Article 7, Roman figure 10, which deals with our aims and objectives. Article 7, Roman figure 6, that also deals with that, tells us clearly, do not allow suppression and oppression.
All right.
Protect the rule of law. So I needed to protect the constitution of APC because I'm in the constitutional review of the party. And I said, please, don't do that, because the requirement to remove a chairman of a party is very cumbersome under Article 12(9)(32). And the governor saw reason with me. And I said, please, if you decide to say, call all of us together and say the national chairman has told you what you did was illegal, I don't need to return to that office. There and then I will write my resignation and give to you. But you cannot say I have been impeached and on one breath you are telling me to go and resign. It is illogical. It doesn't make sense. That is my point. I am not desperate to be in office. I can't force myself on a governor who says he doesn't need me again. I am very loyal to him. I am ready to go, but do the needful. If that compensation that I was told is 500 million or 1 billion, Your Excellency, I have been begging you to do even a 1 kilometer road to my village for my people that have always stood by you. Use that money and do that road. God will give me food to eat. I am a farmer. I will have what to eat.
Just to clarify, Honorable Eba, just to clarify, this compensation you're talking about, is it a compensation that is due you?
I wouldn't know, but let me say this because I love my governor. When we came into office, my governor saw what I earned. And when we discussed that his predecessor was giving a contract to my predecessor to earn money in the range of about 14 million on grass cutting, which he was using to take care of structures and others. My governor made a promise to me. I will be giving you 10 million naira every month to take care of you. I must thank him. He did that for me for 1 month. But afterwards, he did not do again. And I did not complain because he said there is no money. And I have never put pressure on him. So if that has accumulated for 29 months, it is maybe 290 million. But I think the compensation anticipated here was that we want to cut you your tenure before the time. So come and take this compensation and go. Come and take this appointment and go. Mr. President knows my capacity. It is within his hands to give me appointment of a day-to-day running. If he so desires, and I know God will use him to give me. Today I'm chairman of a rubber board, a temporary board. I want to make a difference there. But I'm available to work for the president and our party. So if the compensation is in monetary form, I am also donating it back to my governor. Use it and do 1 or 2 kilometer road for my people.
Okay, just to clarify, I mean, from what you've said, the governor had promised you 10 million naira every month, and so far the accumulation would have been 290 million naira. And if you had to leave before the cessation of your tenure, they would have accumulated the money and it would have come up to much more. But I want to confirm, if you know how this would read to your people when they hear that they're giving you 10 million naira just to take care of yourself in a country where we're having people who, a population of multidimensionally poor people. Is that a salary? Is that an allowance? Is that how things are being run in your state? Will the average Cross River citizen who hears this feel like, this is how government should be run and how government expenses should be used?
All right, thank you. Whether that is supposed to be the actual position that is lawful, legitimate, or not is not an issue here. The office of a chairman requires a special impress for running party activities. A lot of people depend on you for financial assistance. It is not to yourself. The chairman of a party must attend all burials, must attend all wedding ceremonies, will have to fly to attend all official activities, will have to fuel his car to do day-to-day activities, will have to run and do other things. If there is a marriage today, you are required to go and sponsor. This is on a day-to-day basis.
That means
but shouldn't that money come? That money shouldn't come from Cross River State taxpayers' funds. It should come from your party. Your party should take care of those bills.
That is what
not
we
taxpayers.
get dues of party which takes care of that. That's what I'm explaining to you. Party dues are being deducted. This is not from taxpayers' money. Every lawful member of the party pays dues. And this is the accumulation of which the governor ought to do. The governor was not going to do anything illegal. So do not get me wrong. But it is on the mind of His Excellency to do such things that are lawful. And that is what he wanted to do. So he was not being coerced. And when he said it was not comfortable to do it, I did not hold him to it. And I hold no grudge. You only asked where this compensation was meant to be. That is why I've clarified that. So no such thing came, and nothing has been done about it. And now it has come to an end.
Well, I do hope that you're able to find, that the state, I'm a bit short of words because it feels like it's more lucrative to be a chairman of the political party in your state than it is to be the chairman of the NMDPRA. He said it was 4 million he was earning, and 10 million is a lot of money. So maybe we need to reassess our career goals.
And just before we go, don't you think...
If you choose to come and be chairman, it will be very good for you, because the hazard involved in being a chairman, your security maintenance, your car maintenance, and the people that follow you on a day-to-day work every day, break 10 million naira in a month by 30 days. You will know that it comes to nothing under the present day, because you have more than 30, 40 persons to feed on every material day that are working with you. So 10 million in this issue does not come to anything very serious.
You've decided to take
like I said, that did not come, and there is no issue about it.
Honorable Eba, you've decided to take
the issue today, on the court order which I'm to speak about, the court has restrained the APC national, get it right, it's not just a state, the APC, the NEC, and everybody from tampering with my tenure or any further extension that will be contemplated today, because there will be an extension that will be granted. Our present extension ends on the 31st. There is every likelihood that maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 year extension will be granted. And the courts have said that please do not do anything to tamper with the smooth running of this man's right as chairman of party. It went further to say, my deputy chairman, whom I call a ceremonial deputy, and I will explain that to the court later, it is not for today, should not parade himself, even though he has been given the same letter that I got to be in NEC, that he should not go close to that place at all. And I'm advising the party, and I know they know, because they have serious legal minds, that you cannot use one state, small crisis, to create problem for the entire NEC. Remember, the decision that will be taken in today's NEC is going to be a tough one. They should not go against an order of court. I am a lawyer, and I am happy we have seasoned people in the party. They should obey this order of court. If they choose not to obey, it is no longer my problem. I will go the way I am to go and attend the NEC meeting. If you say attend and obey the court order, I will be part of it. If you say go away, I will go away quietly and report back whatever happens in the court on January 22nd, when this matter will be heard for the interlocutory motion.
Now, finally, Honorable Eba, before we let you go, you said you're a lawyer and you have a good working relationship with the Chief of Staff and the Governor. Why did you decide to take your own party to court? Don't you see it as undermining internal dispute mechanisms? And was there no other way this could have been resolved? Because a lot of people think it's a very, very serious matter for you to approach the courts without finding alternative ways to resolve this matter.
Thank you very much. This matter has been lingering for almost 4 months now. Throughout this whole moment, I was only heard once on channels to clarify an issue with one of the chapter chairmen that was being used to come and lock up the secretariat that masterminded some other illegal actions before now. I have maintained and exhausted all internal mechanisms. As you can hear, the national chairman of the party himself took over this matter, brought in some governors, and spoke to my own governor everybody was on one accord. The line of disagreement was very small. If you listen to me very well, chairman of party, your governor does not want you again, resign. I say, yes, sir, I will resign. But, sir, can a man who is said to have purportedly been impeached come back and resign? Can we make it better? Since that purported impeachment, because there is no word like impeachment in our APC constitution. I am not an elected government official, but because these people were kept in government house and spoon-fed and made under duress, the word they understood was impeachment, and they went and did this illegality, which the NWC itself has condemned, which my national chairman also condemned. And now, the only issue left was that you would go and resign. And I said I was waiting for my governor so that he will allow me and the national chairman come to him so that I can tender that resignation. It was an open thing. I did not argue. The caliber of governors that intervened, even the former governor said resign, and I said yes. Everybody said resign. I said no problem. I am going to resign. But I asked for only one thing, that my name has been mentioned in bad light. And now that you have said that this is not correct, this is wrong, this is illegal, can you withdraw that and then take my resignation? That is what has become difficult. And I don't know why that should be difficult. But now I have come to understand that some people say the way this guy is shining, he can become minister tomorrow. When power comes back to Cross River North, he might become governor. So let us put a stain on him. My dear brother, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 6, subsection 6B, Section 46, gives me the right to approach the court.
And you have exercised that right.
And obligation
Yes.
is being trampled upon. And that is why I did this as a Hobson choice. Even now that I'm in court, I am open to an amicable resolution of this matter.
And I'm sure that the governor can hear you say this, that you are open to an amicable resolution. Unfortunately, I would have to interject at this point, Honorable Eba. We are out of time for this conversation. We need to wrap up now. I'm sure the governor has heard you that you're open to an intervention, and we do look forward to seeing what the next steps will be for your party and for your chairmanship. Thank you for joining us to clarify the situation this morning on Breakfast Central.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now bring you breakfast headlines, and after that, we have more to come this morning. Please stay with us.
Hello, welcome. This is Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aborowa. Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja have delivered rulings involving 2 former ministers under investigation by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The FCT High Court dismissed an application by former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, seeking release from EFCC custody. Justice Babangida Hassan ruled that Malami's detention was lawful and supported by a valid remand order issued in line with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, rejecting claims that his rights were violated. In a separate ruling, an FCT High Court in Gwarinpa ordered former Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, to continue on EFCC administrative bail. Justice Mariam Hassan upheld the bail but imposed stricter conditions, including providing a servant director a surety and depositing property and travel documents with the court. Founding stakeholders of the Hisbah institution in Kano State have declared the creation of an independent Hisbah board illegal, warning that the move could deepen divisions and threaten the state's fragile peace. The warnings follow recent tensions triggered by former Kano State Governor and immediate past acting national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, who announced plans to establish an independent Hisbah squad. The proposal has been widely criticized by stakeholders, many of whom described it as a political move rather than for security or religious necessity. The controversy sparked heated exchanges among key actors and prompted the Kano State government to ban the proposed independent Hisbah. Speaking at a press briefing at the Nigerian Union of Journalists Secretariat in Kano, the Kano State Hisbah Stakeholders Forum said the move undermines the existing unified Hisbah structure in the state. The federal government has reopened 47 unity schools over security concerns. The closure of the schools in November was prompted by rising cases of kidnapping and killings in that part of the country, while reaffirming government's commitment to safeguarding students and ensuring the continuity of education across the country. Spokesperson for the Federal Ministry of Education, Folashade Boriowo, says academic activities has fully resumed in the affected schools following the strengthening of security architecture within and around their premises. She added that the students have returned safely to their campuses, with many currently concluded their terminal academic programs as well as their examinations. Now, staying on insecurity, the Nigerian Union of Teachers has issued strong warning over the rising insecurity in schools across the country. National President of the Union, Comrade Titus Amba, says teachers may be forced to withdraw their services nationwide if government fails to address the growing threats to the safety in learning environments. His warning comes amidst renewed attack on schools, particularly in parts of northern Nigeria, where recent incidents include the abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi State, the kidnapping of hundreds of students in Niger State, and attacks on pupils in Kwara State. The National Orientation Agency says it will deploy its officers in all 774 local government areas to educate Nigerians on the new tax laws. The agency disclosed this at the inauguration of a joint committee with the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms in Abuja, stating that the move is critical to clear up misconceptions before the new tax regime takes effect in January 2026. Director General of the NOA, Lanre Issa Onilu, represented by the Director of Planning, Nura Akobi, disclosed that the agency is activating its 16 communication platforms to bridge the information gap on the tax reforms.
Tax reform scheduled to take place from 1st January 2026 are aimed to strengthen Nigerian fiscal sustainability, promoting fairness, broadening inclusion, and improving service delivery. However, these objectives can only be achieved if the citizens understand what the reforms mean for them, why they are necessary, and how they will be implemented.
People trying to ensure that maybe if they can manage to do it, that the reforms will not succeed. However, we must quickly say that, of course, in spite of this resistance, we must say that this is a pro-poor policy, a policy on recalibrating the revenues of this country that ensures that the poorest Nigerians are not touched, except they are touched positively. Nobody is increasing the tax burden on people who are struggling, on businesses, on SMEs, of which Nigeria has several millions of them. And so that's just one of the first key information that needs to be dispelled in this space.
The news continues in North Africa, where the United Nations has said more than 1,000 civilians were killed in Sudan's Darfur region after a parliamentary group overran a major displacement, a paramilitary group, I beg your pardon, overran a major displacement camp earlier this year, according to A report released by the United Nations Human Rights Office, the killings occurred during an assault on the Zamzam displacement camp between April 11th and 13th. The camp, located in western Darfur, is home to nearly 500,000 people displaced by Sudan's ongoing civil war. The report states that about 1/3 of the victims, with some really executed, raising serious concerns of war crimes. It also reveals for months before the attack, the Rapid Support Forces, a Sudanese paramilitary group, had blocked food and humanitarian supplies from entering the camp, worsening farming conditions for residents.
Welcome back. Still Breakfast Central. We're taking a look at the front pages right now this morning. And this Nigeria happens to be our very first paper. Don't forget, you can be part of the newspaper front pages by calling the number you'd find there on the screen. And you can start dialing right away as we present to you the papers. We're starting with this Nigeria first. Let's see what the front page of this Nigeria has in store. And the front page there says, insecurity. 47 unity schools reopen after 30 days shutdown. That's an update right there. 47 unity schools reopen after 30 days shut down. That's one of the big stories, leading stories. Federal government cites improved security and lingering fears. So there seems to be an improved security concerning the schools. Socio-economic crisis, major determinant affecting mental health condition. Socio-economic crisis, major determinant. So what will happen to those of us who are journalists?
It's also part of it. You're part of the economy. You also use the same market. So the state of the economy has an effect on our well-being. And we're also included. We're human beings too. So the government needs to pay attention to the economy and the quality of life.
That's where I was going to.
Quality of governance.
I think that's the most important
and little things that shouldn't be issues, shouldn't be bothering us, like power or driving on roads. I mean, you already have enough things on your head, and then you're commuting from work to your house, and you have to navigate potholes.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Taxes. Well, it shouldn't be happening in 2025. You see potholes that are at the same spot for weeks, and you wonder if these VIPs don't ply these roads, or if it doesn't affect them.
They have big cars.
No, but still, some potholes you can't avoid it. You have to slow down. It's really sad. And I'm not even talking about the hinterland. I'm talking about the
major roads,
capital.
the state capital, major roads. Let's see another story. AGF NBA lead revolt against Senate's death penalty push on kidnapping. Say capital punishment won't deter crime. Threatens justice reforms, global cooperation. That's an update. Okay, interesting. Attorney General of the Federation and NBA Nigerian Bar Association lead revolt.
The world.
When
we talk about global best practices, most countries are kicking against. They're putting a moratorium on death penalty. That there are issues of miscarriage of justice, and that is barbaric for you to take someone's life. I mean, it's an argument that's been there.
I'm starting to appreciate
immemorial. But I mean, my biggest fear would be miscarriage of justice in terms of the death penalty, because there's no reversal. There's this finality that comes with the death penalty, and once the person is gone, it's gone. I guess that's why they are arguing on the human rights advocates are arguing against it, and the NBA also.
Senate clears 64 envoys, signals strategic overall of Nigeria's diplomatic corps. NAFC 130 crew continues mission from Burkina Faso to Portugal. You did see that meeting with the minister.
So with all the noise Nigerians made on politically exposed person, on the cronyism aspect of the ambassadorial list, on some controversial names making it to the ambassadorial list, with all the hue and cry, the National Assembly did give all of them a pass mark. And I think you said it, there was an exercise in futility.
I told you it was going to happen.
Done and dusted.
And I know we caught a bet on that, and it's no surprise that it's actually happening. Well, let's take one paper again away from this Nigeria. Benga, where are you going to?
Let's see what we have in the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay.
Yeah, just to Can we have the Nigerian Tribune up, please? I like this. Local governments must get their money, Tinubu tells governors. We've talked about local government reforms, the federation, the fact that the Ministry of Finance can now pay directly to local governments if they've met certain conditions. And the writer says there is no autonomy without funded mandate. Exactly, money talks. If you grant me verbal autonomy without the financial backing, what much can I do? And also, these local government chairpersons should remember that this money is not for you to share. It's for you to really impact the people. Let them see a difference in their lives, because you're the closest level of government to the people. As APC showcases defective PDP governors as its 14th National Caucus meeting. So they had a caucus meeting yesterday, and I guess that's where the former Labour Minister went to, Chris Ngige. They now showcased, you know how Real Madrid, when they sign new Galacticos, people like Mbappe, they do an unveiling.
Yeah, presentation.
Yeah, a presentation at the Bernabeu. So that's what the APC did yesterday. They showcased the newly defected, the minted players with their jersey numbers. Yeah, they removed the PDP jerseys and put on their APC jerseys as top strikers of their states. And like Fabio says, must create level playing field for new entrants. Okay. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Senate confirms Eba, Sajimobi, Yakubu, Fanika, Deomokri, 59 others as ambassadors. Nigeria's 200 million trillion... Nigeria's 200... This is such a huge, humongous amount. Nigeria's 200 trillion cubic feet of gas can end darkness. New NUPRC boss. As Senate screens for Common Affairs replacements. This was immediate. And this is some good news, but it's not about potential, it's putting it to use. So we have all this gas underneath Nigeria's waters. What are we doing with it? Why are we still in dark? Why are we not a net exporter of LPG around the world? What are we making from this? So I hope we move beyond potential to actualization. It's one thing. We're not going to get excited over 200 trillion or cubic feet of gas that can end darkness. What we want to see is end the darkness. We don't want a generation of children growing up and shouting up NEPA like their fathers did and grandfathers. And if care is not taken, maybe some great-grandfathers to also shouted up NEPA. Banditry. Military operation underway at Osun-Kwara boundary community, says Governor Adeleke. Court dismisses Malami bail application to remain in EFCC custody. That's the former Minister of Justice. He did approach the court to seek justice, saying that he was unduly, he wasn't arrested constitutionally, but the court says no, you're going to remain in prison custody. I never belonged to PDP, Fubara declares.
Easy lie. Are you sure?
So APC has always been at the back of his mind.
Maybe they misinterpreted.
I think they misinterpreted.
Yeah, they misquoted him.
What has he not said that is big?
No, they misquoted him. Benga.
No.
It's a different Fubara. This is Fubara 2.0. After the state of emergency was lifted, we saw
and he said, by the way, he saw 600 billion. That when he left it was 300, but with Ibas was able to.
So he's no longer quarreling.
No. They're very close friends now with the now ambassador.
What a shame.
Ambassador Iboete Ibas.
I never really belonged to the PDP.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
Food for thought. And finally, I was jealous too. These days, everybody goes to court. This is not a traditional thing. Is it not the chiefs and the gods that should choose who should be king?
He's suing them.
Wasiwa in the Kwamwon goes to court.
He's going to court. He said he's a son of the soil. They said, no, you are not.
They said they don't know your family.
They said we don't know you.
the court is the last hope for the common man. But is it the last hope for the spiritual issues?
Will the court, as a lawyer, will the court jump into this kind of issue?
And the court will go and trace the lineage now.
You go and ask ask the spiritual deities and take into consideration their own side of the story.
The things courts deal with, all sorts of issues. And they have to, listen to his prayers. And finally, PDP crisis to Akiwike's camp in another face-off over state congresses. And that's all we have on
that's all we're going to take.
You can interact with our social media portals, tweet at us. You can also send us DMs to share your thoughts on any one of the stories, as we have to go to our weekly entertainment update.
Let's just take a break from here. Some dandies in the house. We'll be taking a look at the entertainment updates, especially on a Friday, to see what the weekend
and the lineup for Dirty December. Today it's Friday.
December,
I can't wait to go to the discotheque with Olive.
We'll be right back, guys. We'll be right back.
And as we wrap up the Friday's episode and wrap up the week's episode, counting down to the end of the year, I think is only important that will bring your entertainment roundup. And who better to bring your entertainment roundup than the king of entertainment, presenting and reporting, the one and only Sam Dandy.
One of the best to ever do. The Cristiano Ronaldo of entertainment presentation.
Wow.
The GOAT.
Is December dirty enough? Are we enjoying Dirty December yet? Dirty December.
Yes, we are.
We're
in
enjoying
December.
the traffic of it.
We're not enjoying the traffic. How are you? What's up? What do you have for us?
So much has happened, but
Talk to us.
I think the first one, well, a lot of people have heard about it. Popular TikTok content creator Pella has been arrested by the police for reckless driving. Is causing a stir online and among fans. According to reports, the social media entertainer was apprehended after allegedly violating traffic laws and putting other road users at risk. Now, video clips of the arrest have since circulated, drawing mixed reactions. Some fans argue that it was blown out of proportion. Others insist that influencers should be held accountable just like everyone else. Police say investigations are ongoing and charges could follow depending on the outcome.
So first of all, their drama is it can be a bit annoying. What's going on there? A lot of the things that we know about them, we did not ask for it. Secondly, so I'm going to speak from two ends. One, from the end of empathy. I want to imagine that he's going through a lot emotionally. I hope he gets help. And we need to get to the point where we're not talking about criminalizing attempted suicide. That being said, he also must recognize he's a public figure, and what he did was very careless. You cannot be live streaming while driving and doing all of that, right? He has a duty to the public. Right. He amasses a huge level of influence, and as such, there are people who will watch him and think it's okay to be driving and filming. First of all, it's not okay to be making all those kind of videos. You're distracted, obviously, on the road. So there's a law that should take its course, and the law is taking its course. And sometimes public figures might have to take responsibility for actions as a way to set a precedent so that other people know that if they ever try any stunts like this, because we're in a social media pandemic, a clout pandemic. People will do anything to remain in the news, anything to trend. So we must let them know, especially those on TikTok, that you can't just do anything that you feel like as content and get away with it. While I cannot say that this is just content, it's because he has a past, previous character evidence reveals that he would do, daring things, a lot of crazy things to garner attention that translates into some form of money for him. But I hope that they get into the root of this, and that if he needs mental evaluation and mental assistance, he gets help from therapists.
I think he needs mental evaluation. He needs help. He needs help.
And the law should also run its course, because you can't be endangered. The road is not a private road. If you're going to do any shenanigans and you were doing it in your private property, it's fine. But once you move on to a public road, you can endanger the lives of other road users.
The moment I saw that video, I knew he was going to be arrested.
And I also hope that, because one thing that happens now is, and we've been seeing this trend, it's almost like there are different rules for celebrities. They commit a serious crime, and then you make them ambassador of safety, ambassador of police, ambassador of drugs. Where's the punishment part?
I hope that he gets the help that he needs, and that, his relationship with his girlfriend Jarvis has some toxic element. Every other day they're putting out their business, they're insulting themselves, they're degrading themselves. I hope that both of them know what they deserve and they go for it.
Yeah.
But therapy is a good place to start.
I like that.
These guys are, but please move on to the next.
Yeah. Let's move from that one.
We can't take away the fact that they are social media influencers. They're
with a lot of influence, true.
Yeah, a lot of.
Well, let's move from
level.
this one to something a bit more controversial, but in music. Rapper Odumodu Black has stirred debate after tweeting criticism of stream farming and calling for more authenticity in Nigerian hip-hop. Now, though he didn't mention names, fans quickly linked the comments to Black Bones, of course, fueling rumors of tensions that they've been having. Now, his remarks touch a sensitive nerve in the industry, where streaming numbers, of course, play a huge role, influence radio plays, bookings, and honestly, global recognition. Now, supporters applauded him for challenging double standards and prioritizing real artistry over what is manufactured or this manufactured hype. Now, others argue that aggressive promotion and boosting streams are simply parts of modern music business and don't necessarily diminish talent. I don't know. I'm like, people are streaming farming.
That they should leave God out of this. Because in one of those situations, God saw it. God has bigger issues to deal with than who's streaming farming, who's farming your.
To be honest, I don't even know what I feel about this one. I don't know if I have any feelings about this.
Okay, let's press the button.
Social media.
Press the next button.
Social media farming. I mean, before you press the button, just to say that these are trends. You have to learn to play the game. That's what it is. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, people oftentimes go for flash as opposed to substance. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening
We're
here.
really talking about it.
Sorry, I know. I'm just saying that because oftentimes people like to go for what's popular, what's trending. It's why even as MCs, you will see that for events, they will come and hire someone that is an influencer as opposed to someone who is a professional MC. So because we are the origin of our problem. We like clout because of that
noise.
Oh,
how many followers do you have?
Exactly. My song is top 3.
You know they do that now, even to get movie roles.
Yes.
You know, now to get jobs, they want to be sure. Can you
how many followers do you have?
And people buy
and even when you have the talent, then they ignore it. So it's a foundational problem we have as a society. We attach relevance to how much influence people wield. Oh, how many awards have you won? Or is your song top 5? Which shouldn't be. But unfortunately, like Burna Boy says, we are the monsters you made. We did it.
Next.
Before we go,
I said next is pressed already. Go.
The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has condemned the title of the new film, A Very Dirty Christmas, calling it offensive and disrespectful to the Christian faith. Now, CAN argues that linking the word dirty with Christmas undermines the season's sacred meaning, which symbolizes purity, peace, and the birth of Jesus Christ. While acknowledging creative freedom, CAN insists that such freedom must be exercised responsibly in a religiously diverse country. The association questioned how the title passed regulatory approval and urged, of course, the NFVCB, of course, which is the
Nigerian Film and Video Censor.
That's right. To explain. Now, CAN also called the producer, Iniedo, to reconsider the title, apologize, and ensure religious symbols are treated with dignity.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yes, I mean, I like this decision. Let's respect people's faiths. Because if it was a dirty Ramadan or a dirty something
that might be a different outcome.
Or a dirty Anuka.
Yeah, people won't like that.
People won't like that. So let's respect people's religions, especially the sensitivity of it. There are many titles you could...
an interesting Christmas, a spicy Christmas, or something, I don't know.
D-E-T-T-Y.
I thought that was going to work.
Why must you use dirty? Yeah,
I get that.
And also, I hope they can also revisit this Nollywood classic, because a lot of Dumebis have suffered some sort of emotional damage.
Dumebi the dirty girl.
Dumebi the dirty girl.
Mercy Johnson. All right, next.
Because I once dated a Dumebi and broke up with her just because of that title.
You thought she was a dirty girl?
Yes.
Actress Doris Ogala has served a 1 billion naira legal notice on Pastor Chris Okafor, accusing him of emotional distress after allegedly ending their relationship and marrying another woman. Now, according to Ogala, the pastor made promises of marriage that he failed to honor, causing reputational damage and personal trauma. The legal action reportedly demands compensation and a public apology. A lot of apologies coming out this time. Pastor Okafor has denied the allegations, describing them as false and defamatory as the dispute continues to play out publicly and legally.
All right.
Olive.
Now, I mean, with this, I'm happy to see that there are more cases of breach of promise to marry. Besela against 10 is the foundational. You can go back and check that case where it says...
In Nigeria?
Yeah, no, it's not a Nigerian case, but it serves as a precedent. You can actually sue for breach of promise to marry. If people knew that when you lead a person, because if you hear some stories, people, people are wicked. You'll be dating somebody with the impression that you're going to marry them. They are committing. It's an investment. It's a contract. You made an offer.
I hope it applies to both parties.
Both parties, yes. It's not gender-based. That's what I've been saying. A person, you date somebody, you've made an offer, they've made commitment, there's been consideration. 2 months to years down the line, you will just go on social media and see that the person you are marrying or you're supposed to marry is marrying another person. Yeah. I don't have full information, but let the court decide.
Is this not the story of the pastor? They spent years together and they were enjoying themselves.
Let the court decide.
Man of God. Man of God.
Before he was a man of God, he was first a man. Before a man of God is first a man. So
I mean, Nigeria has bigger issues.
There are laws that guide
stop wasting the time of the court.
It is not wasting the time of the court.
Show. Thank you.
It's not wasting.
Join Sam Dandy at 4 o'clock, where he brings to you Take 3 with 3 others. Thank you, Binga. Thank you, Oliver.
On Monday,
before we wrap up, amazing.
You say you have something.
Amazing, yes. Amazing has given us assignments.
Birthday shout out to Adedamola Afolabi, Amazing's darling uncle.
Yes.
Wish you a happy 60th birthday.
Happy 60th.
Who's amazing?
Amazing is one of our producers.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
She's really good.
And after giving this shout out to
as
our
far
uncle,
as I'm concerned, she's one of the best ever producers.
Yes.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. And just to say that as we've given you this incredible shout out, Uncle, do her birthday things as well. Birthday enjoyment. All right, we need to move. We'll see you on Monday. Bye everyone. Jesse takes over.
Dandy and Portable.